Welcome to The Explainer. Today we are diving deep into how AI is completely rewriting the rules of software engineering, and we're doing it by looking at the real-world experiences of a developer who's right on the cutting edge. Okay, let's just jump right into the big question. What if the code that used to take you weeks of grinding can now be done in about 20 minutes? This isn't a hypothetical anymore. The AI revolution in coding is here. But, and this is the big but, what kind of new, maybe even scarier, problems does this incredible power create? To really understand how we got to this point, we need to rewind the clock just a little bit, back to a really critical moment in 2025. That was the year everything changed. So throughout last year, something huge was happening. AI models got way better at actually reasoning their way through code. The big labs, OpenAI, Anthropic, they just poured everything they had into making their models expert coders. And it all came to a head in November. That's when they crossed this invisible but absolutely crucial threshold. They went from, yeah, it mostly works, to, wow, it almost always does exactly what you say. That shift right there makes all the difference in the world. And this number, this really puts the new scale into perspective. 10,000. Suddenly, engineers realized they could churn out 10,000 lines of functional code in a single day. This wasn't just a little bit faster. It was a complete phase change that forced everyone to rethink the fundamental way we build software. So what does a developer's day actually look like now? What's the new workflow? Because it isn't just about speed. The process itself is fundamentally different. It's a whole new paradigm. And this isn't about just telling a chatbot what you want. Listen to this from Simon Willison, a developer with 25 years of experience. He says that using these new AI agents effectively is taking every single bit of his expertise. You're not just a prompter anymore. You're more like a director or a collaborator with this incredibly powerful tool. And this new discipline is starting to get a name, Agentic engineering. It's this fascinating new skill set that's emerging. It's all about shifting the engineer's role from being the person who writes the code to being the person who directs the AI agents, using their deep expertise to guide the whole process to a successful finish. The workflow has been totally turned on its head. I mean, look at this. The old way, the human does all the typing, all the debugging, all the testing. The new way, the human directs the agent. The AI does the heavy lifting, the executing, the debugging, and the human's role becomes more about high-level strategy and final verification. The hands-on keyboard part is mostly gone. But here's the wild paradox. This insane new level of productivity comes at a cost. The cognitive load, the sheer mental energy it takes to manage multiple AIs at once and hold these incredibly complex systems in your head, it's exhausting. People are finding themselves completely drained by 11 o'clock in the morning. Our brains have limits, and these tools are pushing right up against them. Now, if you take this new workflow and push it to its logical extreme, you end up with a concept that sounds like it's straight out of science fiction. The dark factory. A software development process that runs pretty much on its own with the lights off. So we've already crossed the first bridge where pioneers are generating 95% of their code without typing it. But the next frontier, the one companies are starting to experiment with, is even crazier. Building and shipping software without a human ever even reading the code, line by line. How on earth does that work? Well, it relies on a whole new way of doing quality control. First, the AI agents write the application. Then, and this is the wild part, a massive swarm of AI-simulated users just relentlessly attacks the software, 24/7, trying to break it. And if the software survives this gauntlet of AI-driven tests, it gets deployed, all without a human ever reviewing the source code. Now, as you can imagine, this level of automated testing is not cheap. One company messing around with this was spending $10,000 a day just on the tokens needed to run their swarm of AI testers. It just gives you a sense of the massive scale you need to feel confident when you take human eyes off the code. So, okay, with a technology this transformative, it begs the question, how does this reshape careers? What's the human equation here? Who wins and who might be at risk? Well, as you can see from this chart, the impact is not the same for everyone. For senior engineers with deep experience, AI is a massive amplifier. It takes all their knowledge and just multiplies its impact. And for junior engineers, it's also a huge boost. It slashes the learning curve. But look at that dip in the middle. The biggest question mark is for those mid-career developers whose main skill was just implementing code. So the advice for everyone, really, is to get ambitious. Your ambition is now your single biggest asset. That technology you always wanted to learn but were intimidated by, That project that seemed way too complex, that learning curve has been shaved right down. The barriers are lower than ever, but, and it's a big but, all this incredible power comes with an incredible risk. We're building these amazing new systems on a foundation that has a hidden, fundamental flaw that we just keep overlooking. Experts are starting to sound the alarm pretty loudly. As Simon Willison says, we've been using these systems in increasingly unsafe ways. This is going to catch up with us. He compares it to the normalization of deviance that happened before the Challenger space shuttle disaster, where you know there's a risk, but you keep getting away with it, so you ignore it. Until you don't. And the single biggest danger is what's being called the lethal trifecta. It's the perfect recipe for a catastrophic data breach. Think about it. You have an AI that can see your private data, it processes untrusted stuff from the outside world like emails, and it has a way to send data back out. An attacker can just send a cleverly crafted email that tricks the AI into reading your private files and sending them right back out. It's a disaster waiting to happen. And here is the truly scary part. This isn't a normal software bug that you can just find and patch. It's a fundamental limitation of how these language models work. They are built to follow instructions, and they can't reliably tell the difference between your instructions and instructions an attacker has hidden inside a piece of data. It's an inherent vulnerability. Okay, so let's do a super quick recap of the core ideas here. We started with the inflection point when AI got reliable enough to build real software. That created agentic engineering, changing the job from writing code to directing it. Take that to its extreme, and you get the dark factory, where software is built and tested without human code review. Then we have the human equation, where AI amplifies seniors and juniors most. And hanging over all of it is the lethal trifecta, a huge unsolved security risk. So, if there is one thing you take away from all this, it should be this. The act of writing code is becoming cheap, almost free, and that forces us to completely redefine what we value. The real skill is shifting away from implementation and towards high-level direction, bold ambition, and the expert judgment required to manage all these new risks. And that leads us to our hardcore debate for you. This whole dark factory idea, is it a genius leap forward in quality assurance that will lead to better products? Or is it a complete disaster waiting to happen because it removed essential human oversight and intuition from the process? We really want to know what you think. Is this a genius design or a pitfall we're all destined to fall into? Leave a comment below with your reasoning. We're going to send a complete tool and concept guide from this explainer to the most insightful responses. Thanks for watching.